So look, tonight we're gonna have some poets, we got some writers. Look, if you like what you hear, let the poets know. You can say something in the chat. You can give them the thumbs up emoji. You can shoot them some bucks on Cash App or Venmo. I don't know what the millennial people are doing these days, but you can do it right here. And in fact, to get this going the right way, we heard him playing tunes for us. Let's have him do a poem. Rico, you gonna do a poem for us?
Yeah, short one.
We got Rico coming to the stage, everybody. Let me make sure Rico can see everybody.
Yes. How y'all doing? Happy Friday. Happy post gratitude day. Just want to just read some real stuff. This is something that came out of my my thesis in 2018. And it's based off of Langston Hughes' poem. I too sing America. This throat, never hospice enough for an old sick joke. Freedom? Ain't nothing free, and ain't nobody that dumb. Thank y'all. Stuck the landing.
That's it.
Stuck the landing.
Ain't nothing free, ain't nobody dumb. That's
right. That's it. We ain't that dumb no more. We ain't falling for the okie doke no more.
Ain't nothing free and ain't nobody dumb. It's probably one of my new favorite endings to a poem.
Yeah. This year has been the realest. So I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for coming out tonight. Enjoy the rest of these poems.
I don't even, they're at their houses though, Rico. Thank you for coming.
They showed out. They got all the books out, organized in the background. You know, people, they got presentable.
Thank you for being at your houses with us today.
Yeah.
All right, listen, Rico, put your social media and all that kind of business in the chat so they can stay in touch with you. They can know what you're doing with your poetry or what BKHP is doing. They can come hear us. We we'll talk about that later. All right, one more time for Rico. And now next up, we have Cynthia Dewi Oka. Cynthia, did I get it right? Oh man, you don't understand. I wrote it phonetically and everything for myself because I'm like, I'm not really wrong. I'm not, I believe, your name is your name. Get it right. So I'm like, look, I've been practicing this name. I think we practiced it for a week and now I'm on point. I'm very proud of myself. So listen, everybody, emoji sign, thumbs up. Make sure we show some love. We bring Cynthia to the stage.
Two pieces, yeah?
Yes, please.
All right. Thanks for having me, y'all.
Thank you.
Okay. 2 poems. This is the first. Driving to York Prison in a Thunderbird with a belly full of sausage, it's hard not to give thanks for contradiction. I mean, this is not my Thunderbird. I didn't pay for this perspiring cup of sweet iced coffee. I have no sway over the grayness of October infecting the miles of visible world it contains. But I do appreciate speed, and somehow whipping past cows in their somber contemplation of the wet earth, their tails swatting at flies, which I guess could be the bovine manifestation of social anxiety, makes me feel like a body beyond history's gambit. We pass so many lumpy fields yet to be gleaned, meaning my eyes could have bled from the monotony, and pastel-colored homes spaced so far apart, I can't help thinking, no wonder folks in these parts voted for the orange psychopath, obsessed with building a wall, but for the most part, keep our promise to act like this is one big adventure, a hurtling away from, not toward, the consequences of powerlessness. I'm in the passenger seat, and Henry, whose nephew will be facing the judge today, is punching the pedal like a goddamn Doctor Who, while taking strategic bites of his croissant so as not to get buttery flakes all over the red leather seat. In between, he regales me with his early years in America. He was a banker back home, scrubbing toilets in exchange for a sushi chef apprenticeship. He's a restaurateur now. I too offer tales of sacrifice and survival because, well, what else do you do while you're being hunted? The rain paints its fleeting destinies on the car windows, and I think of the common itineraries adventure takes. Escape from point A to point B, or return, i.e., anywhere you go ends up point A. There was one night a long time ago, in a car like this one, but stolen in another country with the top off, when I beat my chest like King Kong at the moon because I couldn't scream with all that wind, a whole country of wind rushing down my throat. I was a runaway then, a dropout, a fuck up, and still I get nostalgic about the colors of those days, lead and mulberry, how one chased the other, lightning in my periphery when I threw my fists at the boys and the law. They landed nowhere, and I'm not even mad, because escape is the story we tell, so we can live with the echoes of choices we made in greed, hunger, pain. Right now, Henry is saying that his daughters have no time for him, so I will treat you like you are one of them. This isn't the first time I've been a stand-in. It could be the closest thing we've invented to time travel. He's standing in too. For my dad, who would have never driven a Thunderbird. He was the kind of guy who hit the brakes every few seconds when there was no other car on the road. Plus, he was a dentist. Or stopped at a gas station just to let me buy a pack of cigarettes. At some point, I stopped trying to find aesthetic value in the cows' sad, lolling heads. Ahead of us, the prison rises, with its crown of barbed wire, like solid blocks of rotten milk out of the dead grasses. I've never been here, but I almost cry with recognition. Of course, of course. There is where I've left my heart, in the box of metallic things you can't bring inside. Henry parks his beautiful machine, and we walk toward the blue doors, naked without our gadgets, not touching, but leaning toward each other. He's my dad's height, shorter than me, in the dogged rain. And this is the second one. Redacted from a Know Your Rights training agenda. That a potholed street in the middling borough of Collingswood, New Jersey, bears the name Atlantic after an all-consuming body of water. That all-consuming is Atlas's curse to bear the heavens on his shoulders. That after the fall of the gods, half of the heavens is darkness. That inside the car speeding down the street, I believe I am safe from being halved. That I am not a white box, but a body of water. That white is a pattern of boys who expect to live long enough to become men. That some of these boys are whistling by on their bikes, and behind them, clear as a dream, welcome candles in the windows framed by blooms of vervain. That welcome means I thought I was not afraid of the dark. Since the jade scrubs of the cancer ward, since the fluorescent grid of the factory and the vista of small bones in my father's collar, while I was interpreting for the 20-something-year-old white citizen, tell your dad he can quit or I can fire him. Grief had already burst its cocoon. It ate him like an army of moths from the inside. That brown men and women kept stitching jackets under the heavens of the machines. Welcome. That a moth is trapped in the car with me, it will die, but I do not want to practice fluorescence alone. Like a first language bleeding heart's call, speaking truth to power. I don't know how they don't know that power doesn't care. that watching fires go out will become a pattern, that fire is everywhere and therefore cheap, that the hole in my foundation is all consuming, and at its bottom, a frangipani tree opens its yellow hands. That police ice is printed in yellow or white on the jacket of the night. That the night walks freely among the ranks of the sun, that a body of water parted once like a red skirt, then sealed over the armored horses of Egypt, that Whitney Houston is a bone blasting out the car windows. That tonight, the night after that, for as long as the distance between God and a pothole, a moth's flight will spell, they are coming for you. Thank you.
Jive, you're on mute.
Yeah, make sure. I was like, hey, can everybody hear me? This thing turned on. All right, okay, all right. I'm back in the game now. Okay. Oh man, I couldn't figure it out, but I'm back in the game. Everybody, one more time, give it up for Cynthia, please, everybody. Let's make sure we got everybody back here. Cynthia, you have a book, is that correct?
I do.
How do we find this book? How do we support it? How do we support you? How do we stay in touch with you? Yeah.
You can order it on Amazon though. You can also order it directly from Northwestern University Press, which is my publisher. But here's the thing, I have actually some copies left at home. And if you want to get a signed copy directly from me, find me on Instagram and DM me. So I'll put it in right here.
But only DM her about what she's saying. DM her about. Don't be slick and then talking other kind of business.
Add in my DMs for other. But yes, that's how. And I am happy to send them if you want to use them as gifts for gift giving season for yourself and others. So.
Hey, listen, everybody. Give it up one more time. Give up some emoji signs or something like that. Cynthia, thank you so much for that. And look, she wasn't making, that's all real life stuff she's talking about, because nobody makes up a Thunderbird. If you had drove in a Thunderbird to something, you really drove in a Thunderbird to something. That's real life. You can't fake that. That's a real experience. Listen, everybody, make sure you support these poets, support these writers. We don't get to complain about the stuff that we see in the mainstream media and all the other outlets if we also choose not to support the independent, the underground, the counterculturalists, and all these other writers that we enjoy. So make sure you support Cynthia. Make sure you support all of the writers. And one more time for that poet. And if you're ready for the next one, let me make sure we got them in the building. Jayson, I'm making sure I get your pronouns the right way. That's why I did. I checked a little pronoun cheat sheet over here. You know what I'm saying? Jayson, everybody. Jayson P. Smith, please, everybody.
Thank you, Jive. Also, I love you always, long time, for that reason and many. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's well. It's a pandemic, so shit is weird, but it's really nice to be in my house on Zoom with y'all. I hope everyone can hear me okay. My dishwasher is softly running in the background because y'all know I keep a clean house. And yeah, I'm gonna do 2 poems and get out of your way. I quickly wanted to say a thing because Jive said we could say things. I think I've been thinking a lot about process recently. I think a lot of the poetry that I've been writing over the last maybe 2 years is just that of being alive and being present in my life. So, going outside and standing by a tree and feeling emotions about that and taking up yoga and buying a pole, right? Which is to say it's a weird time. And I know that people are having hard times writing and creating and making things right now. And that's cool, right? It's not the only thing. Walk outside if you can, call your mom, call a sibling. There are poems everywhere, right? There are poems in the way that we live. And I've been trying to learn that and sit with that. So with that, I'll hit you with a poem that I'm going to retire because I feel very differently about it than when I wrote it, at least until I revise it. And then a new thing that I'm working on. Cool. Jive, I love you. Thank you for having me here. Cool. Let's start with the old one. Retirement home. This is a sonnet because I love these, as complicated as that is. When I think of the noble past breakfast, I get bored. Low budget Bushwick dads beckon when Amsterdam seems most distant. An origin story is hunger. The rest, chronology, tourniquets my traumas into narrative. I'm a nuanced prize. While remorseless, generally devastated, I take walks, stay cute in a failed logic of endurance, cock my head skyward to imagine sycamores. A smize underwhelms the drama of fucking strangers for subjectivity. Really, it's pleasant work. Requirements allegedly pink, mostly puckered. Poetics of a power bottom. Slant rhymed motherfucker dipped in occasional gold. It's here I tower. Like a quirk, I'm told. A bonus track abad. The kind where they forget to name her. Cool. That's one. Cool. This is two. So I've been taking a lot of workshops with Tango recently. If people know Tango, it's a New York chat. I assume most of y'all do. If not, get real familiar. And he says a lot of wild shit that makes me think a lot about my life and all of the things. And this is a line that is from Heaven is All Goodbyes. I hope I got that title right. So go cop that. But this poem is called I Will Be Half Eaten My Entire Life. The day was devoid of coercion, and it was good, except for the shape of it. Dawn hems in faltered fathers, artificial and assembled, to pass time refusing to die. Sometimes there is study. Sometimes we make it downtown. Our isopropyl-lined anecdotes, your blighted verbs. Talent kept it eponymous. The abattoir just made it interesting. I cease witness the same day as the recycling, predictably fraught and avant-garde like no one requests. Know nothing of the poem beyond amenities, stuffed full of cells, prepositions, of light opinion and thereby professional, upset even. Look how it undulates through my grant application, over my antecedents until obsession starts. When the gates close and I fail to understand, have I made a case for elegance yet? A mesmerizing language for crisis. Suffering rhetorical, I obtund, through humiliation as the grass rustles. Those are my poems. I love y'all. Thank you.
Wait a minute. You don't get to just walk out of the room. Did you say, have I made a case for elegance yet?
Yeah. Shout out to Baraka.
That's the kind of words that be in your brain. Those kind of sentences happen.
Yeah, that was like a me and Baraka remix, but we can talk about that off camera.
Listen, Jayson, thank you very much for sharing that. Listen, how do we get in touch with you? What are you working on? What do you need us to know?
Yeah, sure. I'm working on my life. And outside of that, you can find me. I'm gonna put my Instagram in the chat. It's real simple. It's my name. And also I'm that on Venmo and Cash App and all the things, because I don't have products, but I write poems. So, if you like things, let me know. Oh yes, indeed. I also, actually, that's what I'm gonna plug. Hi. So Sean Henry Smith is another incredible poet in the chat. I just did a review for their book, Wild Peach, which is out now via Future Poem Press. Get that shit. It is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Sean, I love you. I love poems. I love y'all. I'm out.
Hey, Jason, how did they get in touch? How did we get in touch? Because some people are not able to see the chat. How do we
Oh, okay. Not able to see the chat. At Jayson P. Smith. So literally like my name without all the dots and the spaces, right? On Instagram. So you can get that. My website is up, jaysonpsmith.com. It's real easy to find me. Like if you just like Google things, I pop up.
Jason with a Y. Don't
Yep,
no.
Jason with a Y. Yeah.
Get the name right. Make sure you get the name right.
But listen, if you search my SEO is real good. I promise y'all. Just Google the thing. It'll pop up.
Listen, one more time for Jason. Thank you very much, Jason, for rocking for us.
Thank you.
And Jason also mentioned, I put in the chat, Jason mentioned Tango Eisen Martin. Tango is an amazing writer, an amazing thinker. Look him up. I put his information in the chat. Those who are watching at home, Tango Gara _. It's a very weird spelling of his name, but it's because he's a radical. He doesn't care about no rules. Follow no internet rules. He's an underscore in front and bottom of his name. Forget what you're talking about. Listen, are you ready for your next sport? Everybody clap sign, emoji sign, thumbs up sign, please, everybody. We have coming all the way from an undisclosed location in Brooklyn, New York. We have CJ Parker. CJ Parker, you might be muted, brother. You got to put some. There you go.
How y'all doing?
Good, CJ.
Cool. 2 poems.
Yes, sir.
Great. So I spend a lot of my time hunched over a computer staring at a screen like this, whether it be Ring Central or Zoom or any of these random ones. And, the other day, I was in a chat. It had to be probably like 20 people in there. And I'm the only person of color. And then I'm also the only man or person who identifies as one. And so I'm in a room full of white women, essentially. And I was like, I wrote this poem for this exact moment. This is amazing. So here we go. 10 Tales from a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. 1. White woman and self-proclaimed ally calls herself an ally because she herself proclaimed it. That's it. That's the whole story. 2. White woman wonders why white people aren't invited to the People of Color Employee Resource Group. Says she can be an ambassador, maybe even bring the potato salad. 3. The CEO of my company says, CJ, you're a man of few words, but when you do speak, they're profound. I fail to muster the courage to tell her I'm just baffled into silence most days. 4. White woman says she feels for our cause, loses a queer Latinx woman, hires a white Jewish man. 5. We lose an average of 1.5 people of color per month over the course of a year. That's it. That's the whole story. 6. White woman tells me she's going crazy indoors, says she needs to go on walks. I tell her I walk too, smile, and neglect to mention why I'm walking. 4, insert name here. 4, insert name here. 4, insert name here. 7, white woman says historically violence doesn't lead to change. I cackle. Luckily, I'm muted. Luckily, I didn't Boston Tea Party the Zoom meeting. Luckily, I didn't ask my grandmother if a man being hosed on her television set changed her life as much as a video on Facebook changed mine. Both state-sanctioned acts of violence, both a government foreign to its people. 8, if you couldn't tell, I work with a lot of white women. The irony of being physically imposing to my environment, yet still fearing for my life. 9, there isn't a day I don't fear for my life. My coworkers check in on me. In corporate jargon, you can say they're grabbing a pulse on things. And there's some more irony for you. How I remember my heartbeats whenever a patrol car passes and update them with the news of my survival. 10, my survival has just been made a priority to my company. Now, isn't this a poem chock full of irony? Thank you very much. 'Tis all. That will be that. So this second poem is a poem that I wrote a while ago. I want to say like over a year ago, I wrote this poem. And I don't know if anyone can empathize with this, but this is one of those poems that just got truer the longer I've lived. So this week has been a crazy week. But I think one of the like craziest things that happened, and probably life-changing things that happened is I bought property. Like, I'm gonna be a homeowner. This shit's crazy. It's something that I didn't anticipate happening. Something that you prepare for mentally and you try to go do it, and then it happens and you're like, oh shit, it's happening. Like all the clicking stops on a roller coaster and it's coming. So I had this piece, and I'm just gonna jump into it. What is adulthood but a moving goalpost? See, when I was 10, I thought turning 18 was the dramatic shift in maturity, that somehow I'd have it all together by then. I was wrong. When I was 14, I thought graduating college was the entry point to adulthood. I left grad school unemployed and quickly realized this ain't it, chief. When I was 20, I thought perhaps paying my own medical bills must be it. And at the ripe age of 26, I was setting up my dental and 401k from my parents' couch, not quite what I envisioned. Later, I realized adulthood has to be the point when you start buying your own aluminum foil. Because who the fuck buys their own aluminum foil or dishwashing soap or that powder stuff you put on the bottom of your tub, but some really grown ass folk? So at one point I thought falling in love was it, or perhaps sharing the rest of your life with the one you love, or perhaps making a life with the one you love, or perhaps watching the life you love grow into a life of their own. I'm aging faster than I can remember, and I won't call this a quarter life crisis, but I'm a groomsman somehow, and a godfather, and a house sitter. But most importantly, I'm too prideful to admit that I'm lost or jealous, not ready to admit that I'm just not ready, still calling it a phase, still holding up walls at a bar, praying for the mundane, like going shopping at a Whole Foods on a Sunday afternoon, pushing a cart down an aisle behind the love of my right now, buying things for the house like aluminum foil. Maybe it's a maturity thing, how the simple things are still triggering, how childhood traumas force you to grow up fast, yet make you anxious of aging at the same time. But where am I? Still unprepared, still double tapping photos of weddings and sonograms and living rooms, friends with new jobs in new cities. My therapist said, we're all trying to complete the same puzzle. And though we may start in different places at different paces, eventually we all end up piecing together the exact same picture. I'm sure your boy with 2 kids wishes he had gotten his master's degree sooner. Or how your married friends envy your savings account. Or how your homeowner homies wish they could just up and leave at a moment's notice the way you can. CJ, you spend so much time trying to hurry yourself forward. Do you even know what you're headed towards? I realized adulthood is having the bravery to admit that I'm just not there yet. I can enjoy a wedding and still tell myself I'm just not there yet. I can see my friends fall in love and admit that I was just not there yet. I can crash on my boy's couch and admit that I'm just not there yet. I can look at my salary, look at my unpacked traumas, look at my last 10 text messages sent after midnight and say, I'm just not there yet. But the truth is, I can't. Because I'm just not there yet.
CJ, you be sending texts after midnight. You know you're gonna need some hobbies, man. You gotta stop stalking people. It's crazy.
I'm trying, coach. I'm trying.
Mind the business, and you'll slide in the DMs at midnight. It's crazy, CJ.
Ooh.
You got your own crib, so that's good. It's like you got your own crib.
Exactly.
Yeah, I own the building. It's a new thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, it's equity now. It's awesome.
Everybody I heard you. Equity strong. Listen, everybody clap it up. Get up for CJ, please, everybody. CJ,
Thank you.
what you working on? How you doing, man? It's a crazy time period. What's going on with you?
I'm working on staying mentally healthy, reaching out to my friends and my support systems in different ways that I didn't have to before the world came to an end. Otherwise, I'm working, and if you love me, send me dish soap and Swiffer things, the wet ones, and the dry ones too. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Just any of that, like delayed fragrance, you know, plug-in joints, those, them shits. Send me them shits too. Like if you love me, hit me.
Some Ajax. He want Ajax.
Some Ajax. There you go. That's the you know what I mean? You gotta let it sit. You put it on the tub and then you let that sit, you let that marinate before you get to scrub it.
Yeah.
Thank
Jason's
you.
all about it. You see how Jason went
One clean crib to another. I see you, Jason.
Jason actually is Southern New York investigator of Ajax usage. And I don't know if that's a real title or not, but it sounds like it would be. And if it is, he's got it. So
Yeah,
listen, one more time, everybody. One more time for CJ, please. CJ, so how do we get in touch with CJ?
Oh, Instagram. Instagram's the best way to do that. I'm gonna drop my my Instagram right now, which is
say it too, so people who are watching and not in the chat, they can hear it.
For shows. So it's CJ_on_deck, ONDECK.
All right, CJ. Thank you very much. We appreciate it greatly, man. Be safe, brother. Okay.
No problem. Thank you.
Right. Oh, let's make sure we got this next poet here. I still got to train myself not to narrate all of my computer actions before I introduce somebody. Like, make sure I got the next poet. Let me make sure I share the screen. Okay, it's on. All right, can you see me? I can see me. Okay, I'm good. I'm there. All right. Listen, Adam, Dr. Adam Falkner. I got your bio, right? Because your bio was so much fun for me to read because you used the word cultural strategist in it. So I'm like, I can kind of imagine you like psyching out fake cultures and setting up, you know what I mean? Like a cultural spot. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. All right, listen, Dr. Adam Falkner is a poet, educator, arts, and cultural strategist. He is the author of the Willie's Button Poetry 2020 and adoption winner of the 2017 Dewl Edition Chapbook Award. Also, he has a PhD in English and education from Columbia University. Also, he's a dope individual. Also, he's as real as the words he writes. Also, he's been a friend of mine for years. Also, he ain't no fraud, no fake. What he say about, he is actually about. Everybody clap it up, give it up for Dr. Adam Falkner, please, everybody.
Jive, I love you so much. Honestly, it is like, whenever I get to be introduced by Jive, I will organize the rest of my night around that opportunity. It doesn't matter who else is there, what's at stake, if anybody's getting paid, if there's dinner, if anything. If I get to be introduced by Jive, it makes me feel a little bit more gentler and more loved. And this is a moment when we all need both of those things. Thank you, Jive. Thank you, Rico. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, CJ. There are few places I'd rather be, right? Amidst the chaos. It feels really good to show up even when, you know, lots of us are just on Zoom call after Zoom call after Zoom call. And you know, the family that has become the New Eurekan owes maybe like 1% to like my creative and cultural life, and the other 99% to the people that have come into my life through that space. It just means a lot to still be saying things out loud in rooms where people we love get to hear them. And the New Eurekan is centerpiece for me there. All right, I'm gonna read some poems. I'm gonna read some ones from this book and this beautiful book. And then I'm gonna read some brand new ones. I'm gonna end with a poem I wrote this morning. Cause like, you know, Jason's talking about process. Why not? Fuck it. Thank you, Mahogany, for the chat drop. Oh, also, yeah, you should probably put your address, CJ, in the chat, because there's a lot of people lining up Swift. You know what I mean? People are sending you Ajax, people sending you paper towels. There's a lot going on in the chat. You should check it out. Okay, let's get one thing halfway straight. I have spent my entire life trying on costumes because nobody told me I couldn't, and the stakes were never that high, which I have come to think is mostly what makes a white writer a white writer. The last time anyone referred to me by that name was exactly never, but that is also the point because I am a queer poet. I am a child of an addict. I'm a masquerading white boy. My best friend died and it was sad, and these are the stories I water into bloom. Camp counselor, test cheat, choir boy, cipher rapper, scratch golfer, honor roll, pothead, point guard. And Whitman says, very well, you contain multitudes, but Whitman was a white writer too. And the not so funny thing about spending a life proving you aren't something is that any story that isn't the story is more like survival or just a brick for laying until the wall is high enough that you are safe inside and you wake up and you say, whoops, whose house is this? Who did I hurt to get here? And is it too late to call for help? So this book, The Willies, is telling two stories simultaneously. One of them is the sort of story of my own coming into queerhood as a man and thinking about questions of masculinity and sex and gender. And the other is the story of my father's descent into and recovery from substance abuse and addiction. And it's telling the story of the costumes that both he and I have sort of hid inside of on our way out of those respective shadows in some ways, right? And one of the ways that my younger self, or the version, the character, the speaker in this book, sort of parades around through their own closetedness as a kid is through really unapologetic and uninformed cultural appropriation. And being that we are less than 24 hours removed from the greatest and most unchecked spectacle of violent cultural appropriation that the world has ever known, we call it Thanksgiving. But whatever you call this trash, garbage bag ass holiday, may it be an invitation into some more subtle reflection on who we are and how we show up to celebrate cultures that are not ours. This is called The Whitest Thing. Owning your own white guilt is not cool yet. So you stuff the soft parts of other kids' cultures into your pockets until you believe that it is not there at all. You are a matching sweatsuit jukebox stocked with everything from Ice Cube to Outkast. Entire albums memorized and coiled in the damp of your throat. They are gunfire into the air above the school parking lot. And that, well, that is as black as you think possible. And pulling blunts the size of magic markers into your small lungs before school is black. And your dance routines are black. They call you Justin Timberlake. Your crossover is the blackest, though you are the only white boy on the court anyway. They call you Steve Kerr. You used to stare at a freckle on your left arm and imagine your entire body that color. How much easier it might be to be you if that were the case. And until someone tells you otherwise, that is black too. And it isn't that you don't know you're white, because less white is all you really want to be. You're sure there are good parts about having white skin too, even if you cannot see them yet, because nobody asks you where you came from or how you got right here, which is good because you could not answer anyhow. You just appear with an insatiable hunger to touch things that do not belong to you in a culture that fits like a bed sheet. No one told you that you cannot place your favorite things about Black people into a bucket and just try them on for years to feel better about something until it is time to come inside for dinner. And so you do just that, right? You dip your toe in and then out, and you run when you must, but you stay when you choose. And that is the whitest thing of all. Jason, I love you. I hate you. I'm checking the chat right now. Yep. Blunts are an ineffective weed to put drugs into your body. I said it. It's inefficient. Okay.
Oh, they're effective. The way you act it though is crazy. Magic marker, baby.
Inefficient.
Inefficient. It's gotta breathe. Breathe. Love you.
All right, I'm gonna read a couple shorties that are all just gonna run right into each other. They're these like snippets that are part of the collection, but they're also rolling into some new project that I'm working on. I'm just gonna read them one after the next. Yeah. Cool. Joey from Dawson's Creek was my beard. Sorry, that is the title of the poem though. Joey from Dawson's Creek was my beard, which if you don't know means she was my prom date, my monster truck, my main squeeze rumor swatter. All I had to do was leave my locker ajar for her scotch-taped image to yell to all of B Hall, there is nothing to see here after all, just Joey at the end of a dock, just Joey in a field of daisies, just Joey and Bobby makeup ads and stepping out onto red carpet. Obviously, this is the gayest thing ever, but let me get to the point. Joey was not real, except that she taught me how simple it was to hide in a look and a laugh, or to hold hands on the back of buses, or kiss in the smoky basements of parties and on the hoods of cars in stadium parking lots, or for how to say the word faggot, or for how to avoid the boys whose air I could feel come off them and toward me when they walked. Another way of saying this is, God, I am so sorry because there were so many and I didn't even watch the show. Looking for mask, no symptoms. Looking for top, for dom, for head, for now, for right now. Looking, must travel, can host, must host, can't travel, can't also be sad about someone somewhere else, no hurt. Just flesh, just stay home. Hung, mask, please don't get me sick. Will travel, your handsome cutie. Hi, what's up? Hi, there, hi, here, you, smoke, come over. Do you live here where the hurt is, or are you just visiting? Please don't bring the sick, the sponge that is the body, the soggy bruise inside. Please ring out before you fuck my mouth, then leave. Must hide, must hurt, just here, just fun, curious, just now. No symptoms. Truth or dare is funny because honestly, who picks truth? Like, is that even really a thing? When you are 13 at the swimming pool or in the back of Kyle McKinnon's Jeep or in the woods behind your middle school with a group of curious kids and your heart is racing, who in those moments is really like, I challenge you to speak your truth? I, insert name, formally acknowledge that I am petrified of putting my mouth on another person and in fact have become so preoccupied with not doing sex right that it is borderline paralyzing. Also, my dad drinks too much and I am a homosexual. No, that is not how this game works. But what if it was? I'm saying, what if the gauntlet that we have to walk through on our path through these wonder years isn't a thicket of silent swinging void blades or taunts or dares? What if it is a quiet open field with an outrageous Midwestern sky that stretches blue for miles and miles, and the only way to get there is by saying I am scared, or I am sorry, or I am wrong, or I'm feeling a bit alone? And this is just a thought experiment, so stay with me here, but I'm saying, what happens if the only muscle we ever build is that one? I'm saying, what type of place is that? Right. So this last joint I will read is a poem on joy, or it's trying to be. I went for one of the ways that I've been dealing with pandemic blues is by running and reminding my body that it can do physical things that are hard and things that hurt. And I'm not a runner by nature. Like, I played sports and was an athlete as a kid, but I fucking hated running. And I've really gotten back into it. And the other night at the end of my run, the song was right, the shadow was right, and I stopped under a streetlight and my shadow was looking at me. And if you have never danced with your shadow, I'm telling, in a public place where other people are looking at you, and if you've never taken the opportunity to dance with your shadow, then you should, because it is romantic and really, really freeing. All right, this is the last poem. Jive, thank you for having me. I love y'all so much. Thank you for your tenderness and inviting me into this room here. Okay, on joy. Tonight, I ran my knees into remembering their age. Small thumbtacks teething on the outside of each vessel, taunting me to go ahead and see, smartass, keep it up. And I do. I've been pushing my sail to its limits these days. Forcing my bones to recover is all that clears the clouds. But the hits have really come for us this year, and all of it is so unspeakable. Because what I am holding might be nothing compared to what you are holding. So truly, I'd almost rather not ask, because I'm already hurting my body to remind me that it's alive. But tonight, one more blue sky away from my 35th trip around the rock and the conveyor belt buffet of bad news beeping by, I don't keel over into the grass to heave my breath back, but I slow my pace to a tired trot, clapping in time with a Drake song the kids love. I catch my shadow beneath a lamp in the park and wink at her sly, like, hi, where have you been? Like, hi, where have I been, you slender 9 lives? You not afraid to shake your ghosts in public? If I get weird, will you follow me right now? I am holding an entire canyon and I have not cried in months and I do not know why. I haven't said it plain and I'm not sure I am trying to, but I am telling you now, if you move, my dear, I will throw down here without a parachute. No living room mirror amidst mothers and strollers scrolling through their own unspeakables. I am telling you, if you move, I will give you everything I've got.
Everybody, give it up for Adam Falkner, please. Everybody, Dr. Adam Falkner, please. Adam, do you go by Dr. Adam Falkner? You just go by Adam Falkner. I never asked you this before, but I'll see if you change your mind at any point.
Honestly, it makes me look a lot better that you keep saying the doctor, but like, yeah, leave that at the door.
You should make your name be Falkner, Dr. Adam Falkner. That should be your whole name. Dr. Adam Falkner. That would be my response. That's good. I think it's a good response, man. Listen, I've been trying to figure out control room is put us in the same spotlight window because I want to ask you some questions if that's okay, man.
Yeah, of course.
Because I feel like we get to hear poets feature and showcase and share their work, and we never get to actually talk to the writers. That's why I make sure I ask everybody a question when they were leaving. But I think it's kind of important to get like an idea of who the writer is and what they're thinking about and all of this thing. So first, how you doing?
Are you talking to me? This is me?
Dr. Adam Falkner.
Man, all I'm gonna do is talk to everybody else on this Zoom call, including the 4 writers who read before me, who I'm still like collecting my shit, moving it around on a desk, recovering my life from. But
wait, we did. I talked to all of them. I gave CJ, we started a telethon for him to get cleaning supplies.
That's true. CJ's mailbox is already full of Ajax. That's right.
Mind your business in Cynthia mailbox. I told everything, you know.
It's true.
Jayson gave us all of this stuff, you know, follow Sean and all kinds. Okay.
It's true. I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm managing. I'm healthy and I'm generally happy and you know, I'm doing all right.
Good. I mean, because it's a very disorienting time, man. And I know writers, particularly poets, I say this because I'm a poet, but I know we tend to feel a lot of the world that we're in at a speed at which it's happening, and sometimes it's hard to process. So I always try to make sure I find like how you doing, how you navigating this environment.
I appreciate that, and I appreciated what Jayson said earlier. Right, one of the things I think I'm struggling with right now, and it's different phases. Right, it's like this shit is like cake batter. The way it's like we think we're getting up, and then the syrup comes, and it's like fuck, I have to ready myself for what and how much longer. And one of the phases that I'm in right now is just like, I guess it's no different than it's been, but I've felt the sort of productivity itch, right? As like a year ends and a birthday comes and passes. I just had a birthday a couple weeks ago. Like the ability, the desire to want to like show something, right? Which is this false validation that I feel like I need to say like, see, I did live this year that tried to kill every single one of us, right? Like I have to have something to show for all this time. And I know that that's like unhealthy, and I've been working really hard to figure out small ways to be like kinder and more tender to myself and people I love. But one of the things I'm wrestling with right now is like produce as a way to like deal with the angst, and I don't know that that's particularly healthy. Also, most notably because it does not necessarily mean I'm producing good work.
Right on. Jayson said, take naps. Listen, Jayson generally has reasonable advice, but one time Jayson advised me to go outside. I was like, cool. Then Jayson advised me to take off my shoes when I got outside. I was like, wait, Jayson, I live in Brooklyn. He's like, no, go to the
Okay. First of all, what you're not going to do is
grass there.
do me on his public Zoom call. That is a time-tested practice. It is a grounding practice. You can look it up. It's fine. You don't have to do it on the Brooklyn grass. Just do it on a patch of grass somewhere. It's
Jayson,
fine.
the problem is
That's
this.
practice close. That's all. You can
There
go to
are-
Brooklyn if you want.
Jayson, I appreciate. I started with you give reasonably good advice. I'm just saying, Jayson, I live in the part of Brooklyn where we have a rat crisis. Okay, listen, let's make sure. Where's the crisis here? All right, wait, where's Adam Falkner here? All right, so look, Adam Falkner, listen, man. All right, I've known you for quite a while, and I've enjoyed your work. I followed your work for a while, and you do something in your work that I don't see many writers do well, and you are very successful at it. You have a way of exploring whiteness in a way in which I can hear it and not walk out of the room offended. Like I don't feel like after having heard your work, you're trying to make yourself look like I'm one of the good guys, I'm down, I'm an ally. It's not self-proclaiming. And I'm just wondering, could you talk a little bit how you navigate that space of critiquing whiteness and also not being offensive and aggressive and condescending and all these type of violences to the room? Because I think it's a very difficult task.
I appreciate the compliment and the question. It's something I'm thinking of constantly, not only in poems where I'm writing about whiteness, but how whiteness shows up in every poem I'm writing. And that's true of relationships also. I think one of the things that I sort of take as a baseline, right, is just that, like, as a white person, I'm constantly wanting to be the exception in every circumstance. And I have to understand why it will always be impossible for me to be, right? So to carry that duality all the time, I have to make friends with the white kid who wants to be the exception to every rule, but I need to listen to every person around me, particularly people I love who are not white, who are telling me I cannot be an exception to that rule because of the legacies that I carry with me into rooms and into poems and into spaces. So I don't know if that's a helpful entrance, but it's like, I think, in the poem, The Whitest Thing, for example, it's like, it's a personalizing of knowing that I am, no matter how desperately at certain points in my life, I wish that I did not have this sort of like accesses or privileges that I do, that will never, ever not be mine. And it is my job to always be sharply aware of that. And to the extent that it's possible, use it and invite people into conversations with themselves. Poems that make me want to get up and walk out of rooms that are about whiteness and race are usually ones that have not done the sort of like sitting with self and reflective work, right? They're poems that are attempting to be external or participate in like a politic or a dialogue about an issue or an identity, rather than a conversation with one's self. And I think it's hard to write about whiteness, and for all of the ones that I've certainly like shared with you, Jive, there's dozens and dozens and dozens where I just, I fall flat on my face, and I am catching myself trying to be the exception. You know what I mean? I'm like, this poem goes in another stack because it's failing. Like, I want to be a hero here. There's a line where I just am showing myself, or there's something there. So I don't know, it's kind of all over the place, but I hope that that's at least like a thoughtful meditation on it.
No, I think I definitely get it. Hopefully the people who are watching are also getting it. I mean, I think this is very important. I never get to be in a conversation with somebody who's doing this kind of a work from a perspective or a vantage point that I'll never be able to access, right? You're asking white people to look at their whiteness through their own mirror, and that's very difficult. It's very difficult for people. And because fragility gets in the way, right? I'm one of the good ones. I didn't do it. It's not me. It's not all of us.
Right.
And I kind of wonder, like, how do you, because when anybody fails at something publicly, because our work is very public, it's painful, right? To have it, and then the power of the internet and cancel culture, it makes it even more high stakes and even more terrifying, right?
Yeah.
I wonder, how do you navigate, like you used the word like this poem is failing, or this, how do you navigate that? Because that's an internal strike too. Like it still hurts whether you meant it to be a vicious thing or not. It hurts when you find out it's not working and I meant well. Intent versus impact. How do you handle that?
It's a really good question. I find it much easier to handle in my non-poem writing life, right? Like it is easier for me to engage white people. In many ways, that's my life, that's my work. You know what I mean? I'm committed to moving white people from 3s to 5s and doing whatever sort of like Trojan horse pedagogy I need to in order to convince them that they have a stake in the conversation about race in this country, and that wherever they are at is a good enough starting point, and they're not going to be like shamed out of the room for not having the right language to participate in that dialogue. I have a harder time putting on that sort of version of myself in my poems, right? I'm much quicker to like see a white poet, myself included, struggling through an idea and be critical of that, right? Maybe not cancel, right? I'm not here for cancel culture. I think it's unproductive, and I don't really subscribe to the ways in which we miss out on opportunities for transformative dialogue, right? But I know that there is a thing in me, there's like a knee-jerk reaction when we're dealing in the artistic or the creative criticism space that tries to like attack first and understand later. Whereas if I am working with a group of teachers or running a facilitation or something, right? Like I'm much more there to try and help people understand where it is they're at and what it is they feel like they need to do in order to like move the needle. Intent versus impact is hard, right? But that's also why, you know, white people need to be working with white people specifically.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, you mentioned working with teachers and professors. Can you talk a little bit about the Dialogue Arts Project?
Sure. Yeah, the Dialogue Arts Project it's a consulting group that uses creativity and the arts, not unlike some of the rich poems we heard on this call and this reading tonight, as a tool to help communities talk about difficult shit, specifically connected to race, gender, and identity in workspaces, in education spaces, in corporate settings, and it really runs the gamut from, you know, 5th grade classrooms all the way to like corporate boardrooms. But we sort of curate what are these anti-diversity diversity trainings, and using creativity and play as ways to help people access this kind of conversation that you're talking about, right? A lot of times when we come into conversations to say, here's how we talk about white privilege, ready, go. We're already using like the language of white privilege that in a room full of 30 faces suddenly fractures the room into 30 different starting points about how to engage in that conversation. We find that like using creativity and art as a starting point and a tool helps people talk about a thing rather than feeling like they don't have the language necessary to participate in a conversation, right? And that's back to your earlier point, Jive. It's like, if folks, we place such like prohibitive walls around who gets to participate in this conversation that we will always only end up having them with ourselves unless we figure out more like creative ways to bridge gaps between people that think like us, people that care about what we care about, and people that don't. And, you know, if you think about the number of times you've like left a movie theater talking about a thing that quickly was not the content of the movie, but it was that thing that allowed for the sort of movement. In a nutshell, that's the moment that that we try and facilitate for different groups to help them think more critically about issues of racial justice and accountability.
I know. And so how do we, you created this. Is it an organization? Is it a nonprofit?
It is a nonprofit. Yep. It was the subject of my dissertation. And it is also like an active consulting group. Folks that facilitate, many of you, I'm sure, have heard of some of these brilliant scholars, some Mahogany L. Brown sitting here on the call, Carlos Andres Gomez, Lauren Whitehead, John Sands. There's a litany of people that are in our community that have done really fabulous work and continue to do in these spaces.
Okay. So they can find that through your website or social media or things like this, right?
They absolutely can. They can.
Okay, so now here's a question. This is an easy question. Hopefully it's easy. Sometimes it slowed one of our features down once because they were.
Hit me.
All right. Who are 5 performers we should look up, and who are 5 what are 5 books we should read?
Damn. All right. You're not even gonna let me prep with that. All right.
I know. I usually want to see like what's on the top of your head instead of the prepared.
I hear you. 5 performers we should look up. Wait, what was the other one? The books?
Yeah, 5 books we should read, and it could be any genre, right? They could be poetry, essays, prose. What books? We don't have book exchange conversations enough. I think poetry.
No, we don't. I'm gonna give you just 5 books that are like close to my nightstand right now that I've been like reading and returning to right now.
That's fair.
I've been reading a lot of Audre Lorde's essays, specifically back to Mahogany L. Browne the Great, the issue that was released by Penguin a couple months ago. It's just a book and a voice that I've been returning to and thinking about the kinds of stuff we're talking about here. I just read Andrew Sean Greer's Less, which is a great piece of fiction, won the Pulitzer a couple years ago. Let's see. Oh, also just finished The Vanishing Half, Britt Bennett's new novel, which is fucking fabulous. It's an epic. It's an epic. And I recommend it on audiobook because the reader is pretty incredible as well. Why are you laughing at me, Rico? Let's see.
I'm writing these down, by the way. So
write them down.
I'm writing them down, man.
Got it. Even more pressure here. Other books that have come to mind. I reread Salvage the Bones again recently by Jesmyn Ward. Jesmyn Ward's first novel. That's one of my favorite books of all time, and it was a good read to return to. Let's see. I also read a really wonderful like pop psychology book called Attached. And it's about relationship styles and how we find ourselves. There's 3 different styles of attachment in our friendships, our families, our intimate relationships, and we show up as one of 3 different people. And in some cases, it's like, you know, a pop science thing. You grab it on a carousel at an airport or something like that. But it's also built on really, really rich and thoughtful psychology, and it helped me understand myself and a lot of my like relationships a lot. So that's called Attached. And I feel so like, I feel so robbed. I'm in my mother's home and I don't have my like books in front of me. So I'm in this like random room. And if all I had was my beloved paperbacks, we'd be over and done with. Let's see. Is that 5 books yet?
I was gonna see if you're gonna keep going, but yeah, it was 5. It did hit 5. But if you have more, we're not gonna be like, no, we don't. We got our book capacity. That's it. We only get 5 of them. If you had some more.
Okay, no, that's good. We can stop because this exercise, me just like slowly thinking of books, we could do this for probably the next 45 minutes, and people have actual things to do.
I mean, here's the thing, though. I think there's a value to writers sharing the writers they're reading, right? Like, who are you reading? Because if we like the work, then let's get into where these inspirational thoughts have come from. How did we build? How did we get here? And how do we share these ideas across platforms? So
I hear you.
Ross is doing everything he got to do right now. So
I hear you, Ross. That made me laugh. I was like, I'm just kidding. Like, I don't have shit to do either. It's just a polite thing to say. Like, I'm sure y'all are busy. Let's see. Who do I want you to look up? What artists?
Somebody that you've seen on stage and they've blown you away with the marriage of their writing and their performance.
Oh, just in general.
In general.
All right, talking about Patricia Smith. I'm talking about curveball. Yo-Yo Ma.
Ooh.
I'm talking about Yo-Yo Slaps, Jayson. I hate you.
Not true.
Let me think. The single best concert I saw prior to this current circumstance we find ourselves in was Janelle Monáe on tour for Dirty Computer. And I also, so I have this thing with the movie Sister Act 2. And listen, wherever you think this is going, it is going there. And every Thanksgiving, it's like my Thanksgiving movie, which I know is like really bizarre, but Sister Act 2, and I watched it last night, and it's like one of those things that you could put on, particularly the end where Lauryn Hill is singing and her mom shows up. You could tell me you could take my whole life if all I did was not cry, and I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I look at it and I just start weeping. I just can't do it. When they play it again, she's like, dun, 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 dun. Right? And then you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then, what happens is clear. I don't really know if this fits into your like top performers category, but it was present because I wept openly like a child last night while watching it. What else? Remy Wolf has been giving me a lot of joy on my runs lately. The young West Coast musician, is queer and outstanding, and has a voice that's just full of levity and play. We need to run the transcript on this chat for sure. I don't know. I think that's good. I gave you a handful.
That's good. Listen, I asked these questions because I think when we deal with performance, right? I've seen you perform in slams. I've seen you perform at showcases, features. We've done shows together. And then I went to your book release. We was like in Dumbo, right? Well, I think I might have gotten a new suit or something like that to wear because I knew it was going to be.
You sure did. Might have. You did. And you wore it.
I had to, because I first thought, I was like, okay, it's a big venue. Let's see what he does. And when I went to your show, something happened. And I was really aware that after having seen you live doing this, I saw Mahogany L. Brown do her one-woman shows. I watched Carvin Lasant do his show. I watched a few people. And I realized, thinking about your these three performances, poets we can't just show up and do a 20-minute set anymore, because the amount of thoughtfulness and insight and production that you all put together with your work was amazing. And it was also, it showed me that we have to approach the presentation of our work with the same amount of creativity that we approach the writing, right? It wasn't, we spent years and months crafting this poem and then just said, here I am, which is fine. But when I saw what could happen, I was like, this is a whole new era. So I became very interested in who have you been watching and performing with and seeing, because, we all see performances, we take little bits of it. You know what I mean? I see rappers, I see poets, and then all of that filters, right? We're absorbing everything around us. So when I saw your show, same with Mahogany's show, same with Carvin Lasant, I'm like, listen, there is a level and there are elements that we should be climbing to and adding to our work. So when I see the poets who've done this, I'm really interested in like what brings you to that place, or even what makes you brave enough to try it, right? You sang some of the poems, you had music behind them, and it was a production. It wasn't just,
I appreciate this question too. I mean, I'll say that poetry is not, and language honestly is not my first love. right? Like it's not, my access to literacy is music. I learned to read and give a shit about school because music excited me, and making it and singing it made me feel pure and free, right? And light. And the way my sort of life evolved, the collection of teachers or kind disruptors that I had, made space for creative writing to sort of fill up that void. Like that was the thing that became the thing because it was an opportunity for me. But music for me has always been the feeling I get when I make music is always the feeling I'm after when I'm writing. And I don't know if I think I have more confidence as a writer. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. I think I've had more success validated as a writer. But I know that the thing that I'm most forever in pursuit of is the feeling of levity and like just clear signalness, if that makes sense. That is like in me when I am usually singing, usually improvising. Honestly, there's rarely not too much of like a script, but I know that's really important to me when I'm thinking about, can't get this light right. I'm so sick of Zoom. That's better. So I think Jive, I'm in pursuit of what is next and bigger than the poem, right? And this next project that I'm working on, I don't know what it is. I know that it isn't a book of poems. It might be published as a book of poems, but like I want it to, that will be a stepping stone to what its actual thing is meant for, which will involve music, which will involve probably drama in some way, you know? I'm just constantly thinking of ways to play outside of the genre in which we earned our dues. Because I think it's just it's a capitalistic trap to think that the only places in which your dues will matter or your experiences will matter are the places where you earned those experiences or dues, right? Patricia Smith is someone who talks a lot about this, right? People like her ability to straddle both the sort of like oratory and literary communities and be out here probably winning the Pulitzer within the next several years, right? She didn't pay her dues where they paid their dues, and yet, right, there's still this like sort of constant questioning or wondering. It's a long-winded way maybe of saying that like, I know that I am most alive when I'm able to play in spaces that are on the edge of my comfort zone, right? Really great exercise, if you've ever done this, and everybody should, is so think about the second art form that you are best in. Not your art, not the thing you think you're best at. Get that out of here. What's the very next one, right? And either build something in that, use that muscle to make a creative project, or support someone else's whose that is and see what happens, right? But like, I think we get so comfortable nurturing and massaging the creative muscles that like tell us what we are, that we ignore and let atrophy the other ones that in many ways could have been like the spark plugs that got us there in the first place. And for me, that is singing and that is music. So I know that I'm in pursuit of that. I'm in pursuit of that, and I'm trying to find more creative ways to play with other people that don't, make me feel less for, you know, containing more than one capacity, you know, or wanting to build things outside my domain.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Adam Falkner, thank you very much. I mean, some people, listen, people watch, you probably could, you probably could have earned a master's degree by listening to this conversation tonight with Adam Falkner taking you to school. First, thank you very much, Adam. Thank you to all of the poets too for chiming in with us tonight. Adam, how did we get in touch with you? How do people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram is usually the easiest way these days. And if if you are at all interested in the primary runoff that is happening in the great state of Georgia for the Senate right now, if you donate to either one of those candidates and you show me a receipt that you have done so in my Instagram DM, I'll send you a book and I'll sign it.
Wow.
Those
Lord.
two candidates are Raphael Warnock and they are John Ossoff. And there are lots of wonderful ways you can donate to either of their campaigns. Chiefly, Stacey Abrams' work with Fair Fight is a great place to donate. You can show me that receipt too. But if you donate to either of those spaces and you show me that you have, send me your address and I'll send you a book.
Yo, thank you very much, Adam Falkner, Dr. Adam Falkner. Thanks a lot, Adam, man. We really appreciate having you here. And listen, we want to shout out and thank everybody. Thank you, Rico, for rocking for us. Thank you, Cynthia, Jayson, CJ, New York for letting us be here. And also, thank you to everybody who's tuned in, who zoomed in, who logged in, who came to watch, who's from here in the States, outside of the States, wherever you're from, and we're very glad you made it here tonight, and we will continue to do things. My name is Jive Poetic. I'm gonna put it in the chat so you can link me online on social medias and all this thing.